Hi, I'm Dr. Jamika. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Today, I'm talking to you specifically about how does driving behavior mimic a person's personality. If you look at my channel, you see a lot of videos on different personality disorders, but today I want to talk about how your driving behavior mimics your personality traits. And I've watched and studied this for many, many years. This is something that gets on my nerves because I believe it to be true. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in other videos later. So I want to talk about ways that you can start to see the connection between driving behavior and personality. So I'm going to give you a few examples. One of those examples I'm going to talk about today is driving fast. Think about a person on the highway that drives fast, just notoriously fast, over the speed limit fast. So just zoom, 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 in a rush to get everywhere, even when they don't need to be there in a certain amount of time. So what does this mean about the person's personality? What do you think? Typically, it means that the person really is living in the fast lane in life. So they're pretty efficient. They're moving fast. Could be impulsive, not necessarily, but they're going fast and they're pretty aggressive at getting to those destinations. Destinations meaning goals in life or things that they want to accomplish. So driving fast, you see a correlation. Likewise, driving slow. When you see people on the highway who drive really, really slow, like what does that mean? And I want to throw out some of the outliers. It could mean you have bad sight, poor hearing. It could mean you're not paying attention, you don't know the roads, etc. It could be icy roads. But when all conditions are fair and you're still driving slow, that typically means what? In life, you pretty much live the same way. You're careful. You're pretty apprehensive about moves and changes that you make in your life. Typically, the same things occur. However you are behind the wheel is typically how you are in life. So I want to give you another example. People who you've been behind them, they change lanes impulsively. They get here, then they get here, then they move here, and then they move here. Sometimes for no apparent reason. What does that mean about their personality? Typically, they're impulsive in life as well. Typically, they make hasty decisions about things. They might not think out the trajectory of what this looks like later. They just kind of move based on the moment. I don't like being behind this car because it's wobbly. I don't want to be behind this car because it's not going fast enough. So impulsivity is usually what you see when you look at those behaviors. What about people who hold the steering wheel a certain way? You have people that hold it this way, right? This way at the bottom. Your hand positions on the steering wheel mean something as well. Typically, people who hold the steering wheel like this are quite careful. You might even want to say rigid. They're really careful and controlled about every move that they make on the road, and they tend to follow all the rules of the highway. They tend to drive within the speed limit. They tend to stop sometimes for longer periods of time at stop signs. They obey all the traffic laws. They look both ways. They're looking around at other drivers, and they're not pressured by the cars around them to go faster or to change lanes. Like they're just kind of here, and they're pretty controlled in their driving. Typically, when you see people who have that driving behavior, they're also the same way in life. Very controlled, like to go exactly by the book. Do everything that they can to stay within the lanes. They don't want to jump outside of the lanes. They tend to not be as open and tend to not be as flexible thinkers as maybe some of the other people that you might know. Some people might even say that they're too rigid. They're stuck. They can't think outside of the box. So these are just a few of the driving behaviors that I want to mention today because I want to get you to think about how these things mimic personality. Driving directly mimics a person's personality. In other words, how you are in real life every day is how you're going to be behind the wheel, and vice versa. So I want to hear from you. What are some other driving behaviors that you've seen that you think directly point to personality? I have lots more. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video where I talk more about driving behaviors and specific examples of how this directly applies to your personality. I'm Dr. Jamika. Thank you for tuning in.